All right. So first on our agenda today is something that I came across in the last couple of months, and it resonated with me in terms of how we identify ourselves and how we talk ourselves up or get prepared to do something. So those of you that are new, if this is your first year facilitating a meeting, you might have a little bit of anxiety or curiosity about what facilitating a meeting looks like, what that entails, who else will be there to support you. If you facilitated a meeting before, hopefully you have some degree of confidence and ease in doing that. Hopefully you have very few experiences that left a sour taste in your mouth, and so you're ready to return with a great meeting. What I found is the ATF meetings, each of our body of faculty really have different personalities. And so if you think about the faculty on your own campus, you know, your biology faculty compared to your education faculty, compared to your business faculty, there are lots of different personalities individually, but also as a group and a discipline. So I'm going to show this quick video. It's less than 10 minutes. While you're watching this video, I'd like you to think through in terms of you being a representative of AZTransfer, you being a meeting facilitator. We're going to take a short break afterwards, and you're going to be able to spend some time going through this, and then you will do some sharing tomorrow. You don't have to share today, but I'm going to pull this up and let you hear from, I forget what her name is, but Lisa Cummings. So let me share my screen. And I just remembered, Cian, how do I share my audio? You're muted.
You know what? It might be automatic. Try to play it and let's see if it works.
Okay. And this is just a good example that even me, I may not facilitate a meeting on Zoom perfectly. And it's also entirely okay to just admit you don't know how to do something and start over, because there have been very few times I've had to share my audio. So we'll see if this works. Okie dokie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Cummings.
Can you guys hear it?
Lead Through Strengths.
Yes.
And
okay.
What I have for you today is a habit builder, an easy way.
Okay, the sound cut out. Did it cut out for everyone else or just me?
No, it cut out for us.
It cut out.
Okay. Hang on just a second. Let me pause really quick. Let me try one more thing. If you need to take a small break,
Kelly,
refill your drink. Yes.
If you go into your bottom left corner where it says mute, there's an up arrow. And if you click on that up arrow, I think if you select a microphone, I think maybe do same as system, that might work.
Let's try. Okay. Let's try one more time.
Oh, I've come up with this habit builder as a way to give you 3 words. Once you can come up with 3 words that represent your strength, it really requires no.
It cut out again.
I have another solution. How about I just, what if I email it to the group? My other solution was going to be I can email it to the group and we can all watch it for 7 minutes via email. Cian, can I send it to you and you can, or well, everybody's on the ATF facilitators distribution list, right?
Yes.
You can also add it into the chat.
Oh, that's a great idea. Tanea, thank you. I'll put it in the chat and you guys can watch it really quickly in the chat. And then I'm going to work on some things here at my house on my audio and see if I can figure out a different solution. So
I will say when you share your screen and then you put up a video, there is an option at the top in your tools to say share through like the audio through the computer. That usually works too.
Okay. Well, you guys are watching this. I'm going to double check all of that and see. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I did send it in the chat feature here. You should be able to connect if you want to mute yourself and close your video or do something. Let's plan to return back here at 10:40 That will give us plenty of time to watch the video and to be thinking about it, and we'll come back on at 10:40 in 12 minutes.
Hi, I'm Lisa Cummings from Lead Through Strengths. And what I have for you today is a habit builder, an easy way to make small changes so that it doesn't feel like you have a bunch
If
of
one of
extra
you,
things.
whoever's playing the Lisa Cummings, could mute yourself right now, it's playing for everybody.
So I've come up with
Thank you. Okay, does anybody need any more time to finish up listening to the video or thinking through their doorway words? Okay, like I mentioned, we're not going to be sharing those today, but we will be sharing it tomorrow at the end of day 2. And so I'd like you to spend some time, if you didn't come up with them now, throughout the day or even tomorrow in the first part of the morning, thinking through what words resonate with you or that you identify with that you can use just to center yourself before a meeting or as you're figuratively walking into that room preparing for your ATF meeting. When I first started at AZTransfer, I came up with more than 3. It was really long, but it was the word crimes, CRIMES. And I was really using it as my personal mission statement, like what type of work, what type of persona, who I wanted to be with my new team, with my new just presence statewide after I had come from ASU to AZTransfer. It was about 6 years ago. And it was a variety of things that I wanted to make sure permeated all of my work. And it was consistency, relevancy, innovation, meaningfulness, efficiency. And the S depended on what mood I was in. I can't remember, but I think it was supportive. But it doesn't have to be 5 or 6 letters. If it's something that you can really quickly remind yourself of, your role in the ATF meetings really is working with the chair. But the ATF chair is going to rely on you to facilitate all of the digital connection with Zoom to start off the meeting, to explain a lot of the details, and you are going to be the presence of AZTransfer. And so we want to make sure that you can do that with confidence and a degree of comfort so that that's not causing you too much anxiety or confusion in the days to come. Okay. So next on our agenda, I'm going to pass it over to Cian. Cian's going to go through the chat lines. For those of you who have worked with us before, you're familiar with what the chat lines mean. Some of you have had an introductory orientation to that with your work with Cian, but she's going to take you through some of the upgrades that we've made to the chat lines and how you'll be interfacing with them. You don't have to follow along on your own computer because Cian's going to be showing her screen, but she's going to orient you to those and what work you'll need to do.
Thanks, Kelly. I'm going to have to remember that crimes. How many different letters or words could that represent? I mean, I just like the whole acronym itself. So that actually tells me an awful lot about you, Kelly.
Yeah,
Crimes.
somebody once said, oh, so you're criminal. And I was like, well, you know, I hadn't thought about that, but maybe.
Very fun. I'm looking forward to see what everybody comes up with tomorrow. Okay, so can everybody see my screen okay? This is our chat line. So I've already logged in. Oh, do you know what? I wanted to log in on my fake one. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay, give me one more second to get myself set. Out of habit, I always end up logging in with my AZTransfer, and what we need is to make sure that I am only that I can mimic what your screens are going to look like, because my login credentials give me a few extra screens then, and that might get a little confusing. Okay. My apologies on that. Okay, can you guys see this okay? Okay, very good. So I have logged in with credentials from Yavapai College. So you know, I'm sharing my screen so I can't see everybody's faces. So if you guys just want to verbally respond, if you have anything to contribute, please feel free to do that. As you know, we revamped these chat lines a few months ago, and we sent out, or I sent out a note that let you know that this was going to look very differently. I'm hoping that you guys have had an opportunity to kind of go through and see the logic behind how we've reorganized it. I would love some feedback on that. If you have some definite thoughts or insights of what we could do to even dial it in, but I'm aware I've been with AZTransfer for I think I'm going into my 3rd or 4th ATF season. I started in 2018, so October. So I haven't quite been here for 3 years yet. But as it was explained to me from Rebecca and Kelly and others that have been the backbone of this program for so much longer preceding me, these chat lines kind of developed over the course of the last couple of decades with people having great ideas and things that would help make the work go faster and easier and be more efficient. And so they kind of reflected that the order of things reflected on where the good idea goes. It goes at the top of the list or the bottom of another list or on the right-hand column or wherever it is you were looking at the time you had the great idea, I think. So we kind of looked at this with an approach of deciding how we could make things faster and easier to find, how it would be easy for us to respond to questions when we're asked how to do certain things in the chat lines. And so we kind of regrouped things. As I mentioned before, you guys, many of you, Alicia and Tanea and some of you others have used these chat lines far longer than I have. You might have better insights than I do on a better way to organize this. And if you do, please feel free to share them with me. Send me an email or shoot, give me a call or something later. But as it now stands, these are the section headings that we have in the chat lines right now. One of the things that you'll note, okay, so we've got the ATF season tasks. We've got the preseason annual tasks, which is a whole new thing that we're going to go into in a little bit. We have the edit screens, we have Facilitator Corner, and we have ATF meeting links and reports. You will notice that each hyperlink underneath each one of these categories is numbered. And so that makes it super easy that if we need to give direction or you have a question about something, you can refer to it by edit screens number 5 or facilitator number 2 or whatever it is. So that should make our communication with each other significantly faster and more accurate. I wanted to just take a quick second and draw your attention to a couple of different little things here. First of all, we've got this heading and this preseason annual task is a whole new heading that we just developed in this version of the chat lines. And you will notice underneath this preseason annual tasks, there are 4 more verification or checklists that we are asking you all to do heading into this season. You'll notice that we have due dates next to each one of these, and we're going to go through these in just a moment. The next section is the ATF season tasks. This is in the top left because the majority of the season is, the majority of the time we're actually in season. And so we made those be in a prominent position, really quick grab. And you'll notice that these are all the same things that we've always, a lot of the things that we've had. These are going to be mostly where you're going to be headed during the ATF season. You'll notice number 6 and number 7 are the verification forms that we introduced a couple of years ago. And then the rest of this stuff, the ATF, join the ATF request, that's new from last season. I think you all have been getting notifications on requests to join the ATF. It'll have how many are pending, how many people have requested. Right now, this is reflecting Yavapai College because I signed in as Yavapai College today. The ATF missing meeting RSVP, we're requesting that you run this weekly during the ATF season so you can recognize what ATF meetings are missing representation. Approved matrix changes, I think everyone, including some of our newer facilitators are aware of the need for this. It kind of comes later in the season. Adding the ATF meeting report, we've got some orienting instructions there that it's due 14 days after whatever ATF meeting is conducted or facilitated. Query on meeting reports, and then again we have the no program and no show. So on the same vein of the no program and no show verification reports, these 4 reports were designed to pattern the no program and no show verification reports. We are asking, these are 4 specific parts of the database that we are asking that you do a hands-on deep dive prior to the ATF season starting to ensure that we start the season with all the accurate information already changed on the website. So going into the ATFs, as much has already has taken place before we get there. You'll notice the first one is the review no program status. This requests that you run a no program report for your institution and verify that this pretty much gives you the trend of each of the programs and which institutions are considered no program. You can verify that the programs that are listed as no program for your institution are correct. And headed into the season, that's important because attendance, everything kind of keys off the no program report. So if an institution is declared no program, then, and they send someone to an ATF meeting, they do not get credit for attending the ATF meeting. But it's a catch-22, because if that switches and the decision is made to declare a program and you don't send faculty, then that absence is noted and it counts against our group's percentage of attendance. So we just ask you to go through, do a quick check and make sure that these disciplines are correct, that you want to keep them either active or inactive, program, no program, whatever it is. And this checklist kind of takes you through and lets you know what you need to do if things need to change from the current status of what you've seen. So, all right, I'm gonna have to go in again. We don't have a return key on there, so. That's something we can enhance, an enhancement we can make. Okay, the next one is the membership data verification form. That is very similar. If you choose your institution, it is grinding now. We asked you to go through and just quickly do a deep dive and make sure that you have faculty for all of the relevant disciplines, that their affiliation is correct, that and that their email addresses is correct. Because when ATF season begins, there's a lot of traffic that hits our email through the listserv email, and we'll get bounced emails, and that means that faculty or people that are supposed to be in the group are not getting the communications they need. This also should let you know if you've got a hole somewhere, maybe someone retired, maybe you haven't reassigned a certain ATF, but that's one of the things that we're asking you to do as well. And then reviewing the AJEC data. This one is really, really important. We are finding that there are parts of our database that have not been addressed for a significant period of time. And we are asking that you untruncate each one of these categories for the AJEC in both the AJEC A, AJEC B, and AJEC S, and that you verify that this information is correct, meaning the instructions of what your particular institution's AJEC stands for, and that the courses that fall underneath that heading are correct. A lot of times there's changes made to the AJEC. Each institution will decide that one class will count, and then a couple years later, they'll decide that class isn't going to count anymore, but it never gets cleaned up here. Or they'll decide that there needs to be X number of credit hours in mathematics, and then a couple of years later, they decide that it needs to be 6 credit hours instead of 3 credit hours, or whatever it is. These instructions are what populate the front side of our website, the student tools section of the website. If we have a student that is utilizing our website and they count on this level of detail to guide them through the AJEC A, B, or S, and this information is incorrect, then there is a liability that we each hold because we're communicating incorrect information to the student. And that's what we're here for. So we are asking through this experience, through this pre-season annual task section period of time in the lead up to the ATF, that AJEC data gets cleaned out. And again, as I mentioned before, there are very specific things we ask you to do. You can go through each one of these, click on each section, but we are asking you to do that for the A, B, and S. And once it's been done for all of them, then you can verify, you can click this button that verifies that the AJEC information has been addressed for this particular season. Really, I cannot stress enough the importance of updating the instructions at the top of each category. Before I go any further, are there any questions on that? Okay, perfect. I am going to let Kelly address this CEG course title not found, but before I do that, I just want to pop over here for a minute. I probably should have done this first. Edit screens, all of the edit screens relate to the work that gets done over here. So if you ever need to jump in and quickly be able to edit or update any of our information, that's all done through the edit screens. Okay, Kelly, take it away.
I might have mixed up where we were, but did you want to show the facilitator corner and the video library before I went into those two, or do you want me to do those pieces?
You know
first?
what? I can. I absolutely can. And I probably went out of order, and I'm happy to do that. Facilitator corner, these are all things that we grouped together earlier. These are all things that should facilitate and help you guys in your meetings. Last year, we introduced the virtual binders. Please take a moment to click on this link and find your institution. And we have all kinds of specific information for you that relate to your institution. The ATF meeting calendar. Okay, it's grinding. I'm sorry. I guess my internet is very slow. We have this available from that part of the chat lines as well. I think I've taken you all through and shown you how to find your print view. I encourage you to print this out periodically through the ATF season to keep us on track for what meetings are upcoming. The statewide listservs, this shows you all the listservs for each of the ATF categories and allows communication to be free flowing through each group. This gets you to the ATF dashboards. This is the facilitator dashboard, which is how each of you found the meeting link for today. The RSVP manager or RSVP calendar. This is a very important tool. It allows you, if you click on the RSVP manager, and this is a tool that has been redesigned for this year. This is my favorite screen on our entire website because it allows you as a meeting facilitator to grasp and very quickly be able to ascertain which institutions will be participating in the meeting and which institutions are not going to be there at all because they don't have a program. But if I'm from Eastern Arizona College, and you'll notice the date of this meeting is September 23rd, if I'm from Eastern Arizona College and it is September 14th and I see no right here, I'm getting concerned because I don't have a faculty member that is RSVP'd for this. This report also shows me on the right-hand side pending responses, and I can quickly look for Chris Matthews at Eastern Arizona, who is our lead member, and I can send a note to Chris Matthews and remind him that he's got this upcoming meeting and direct him on how to RSVP for this meeting. So we've tried to help collate all of these links in one spot so that you can manage your attendance for these meetings. The no program report also listed by ATF. And then this is the next section that Kelly wanted me to show. As I mentioned, I kind of got things out of order. I was going to do this at the end, but we'll do it really quick right now. We have created this year a video library for facilitators. We are hoping that with the remoteness of our work and not being able to be in contact with each other, not being able to come in this year, this will be the second year in a row that our meetings have been virtual and that we will not be meeting frontal or face-to-face. We have created 11 videos on how to do things, how to use each of these links that I have just taken you through. We've created 11. We have plans to do 5 additional ones. Each of these videos is between 3 minutes and 11 minutes long. They are designed where you can click on the link, grab the link, such as how to RSVP. We're going to watch it on YouTube. And it provides a link that you can grab and you can send this to your faculty, and instead of answering the same question 100,000 million times, you can say, here's a little quick 7-minute video. It instructs them how to join an ATF, how to RSVP. We have created descriptions of each of these videos, and they will display, this is under construction. This is, we've been working on this and we're coming up to the very end of it, but eventually there will be descriptions right in this area, and also possibly on the website itself, that you can kind of read through the description and understand which video represents which, or you can look through the description to find which video represents the questions that you might have. So we're excited about this. We think that this will help a lot of training issues as you onboard new people into your departments. This is literally hours of viewing pleasure for anyone who is new to the program. Does anybody have any questions for me on this training video library? Okay, very good. The other thing we have is this tab right here called Facilitator Training. And in this tab, we have uploaded the 3 facilitator training sessions that Kelly did last year that take you through mock ATF seasons, the presentation, all of the training that we typically do during this training retreat. And then we also uploaded additional examples of real-time meetings. And we will be doing that again this year as meetings occur. And as they are able to be an example for great facilitators, or the types of questions that faculty end up asking, or the types of issues that surface during these ATF meetings, we're going to upload those into this training library as well. So anyone who might be a little nervous to be a facilitator at a meeting, needs a little practice, you can, again, hours of viewing pleasure to kind of orient yourself and develop an understanding of the standards, the expectations, and how to address some of those tough situations, or to be able to anticipate what some of those tough situations might be before they arise. So does anyone have any questions about the facilitator training library? No? Okay, that was easy. Kelly, you look like you want to make a comment.
Nope, I was just
okay.
smiling.
Okay, all right. And then the last link is for the AZTransfer handbook. Every single thing that's in the training library is also documented in the handbook. It's been really interesting. I don't do work with ACITs, but I will get questions about ACITs, and I will ask Kelly what those answers are so that I can get them to the proper questioners. And Kelly will always say, it's in the handbook. Here's the link. That's in the handbook. Here's the link. And I'm amazed at how many things are in the handbook. So there's a very good chance that if you have any questions, that it will be in the handbook for everything that we do, and also ACITs and other functions that you guys perform as well. So that takes us through the edit screens, the facilitator corner, all of the video library, both the facilitator library and the training library. It takes us through all of the pre-season annual tasks, except for one that Kelly's going to talk about right now, and the ATF season regular tasks that now have include instructions on how often you should be addressing it, or when specific things are due. We are hoping that these due dates help keep us all moving, streamlined, and in the same direction. And I think I just went out of order for everything, but I do know that Kelly has got this next part. So
thank you. And I'm happy. I was just thinking, if you showed first the video library and those facilitator corners, then I could show some of the actions of the next piece. So
okay.
Really what CN is modestly explaining to you is she spent the entire last year conceptualizing this organization to better support each of you, so that you can, in a very 2020, 2021 asynchronous way, support yourself in finding all of the information that you need to be prepared for the ATF meeting. CN has been here through several ATF cycles, and I've really relied on her expertise to train and orient each of you in a way that makes sense. And by putting all of these things up digitally in an accessible way, you can do that whenever you need to, whether you want to refresh some of your skills, whether you need to go back. If you're looking in the chat lines, we try to front load as much of that as possible in the most intuitive way, so that when you log into the chat lines, you see what needs to be done. Now, One of the limitations of this is nothing is going to send you a push notification. Nothing's going to tell you, hey, you need to do this. You haven't paid attention to this. This is overdue. It requires that you log into the chat lines. And one of the things that I would recommend that you do is put a specific day once a week that you log into the chat lines and check on that. For myself, I usually do that Tuesday mornings, just because I don't like to start my week that way. I also don't want to finish off my week. But if you put a reminder on your calendar every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock to log in, walk yourself through these tasks, you will stay on top of everything. We're not going to reach out to you except in a few limited cases to follow up with you to make sure that this work is getting done. So CN mentioned items D and E on the agenda, course title not found, and AJEC S in geology. These were prompts that CN did send earlier in the spring semester. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see what we're talking about. I've logged into the chat lines here. I have the super user view, so I'm not logged in as an institution, but I still see a lot of the same things that you would see. I also have some extra things on here that you won't see when you log in, like AZTransfer only. But if you'll see the same orientation, ATF season tasks, preseason annual tasks, all of these things we want done before the facilitator season and the ATF start. You're doing this as an institutional facilitator so that your institutional data is clean for whichever meeting facilitator picks up your curriculum, picks up your coursework, picks up your degree structures. And we want that to be done ahead of time. So July 15th seems like it's a long way off. It's really just around the corner. If you haven't started to do these things, this would be a great time to start and get those done. If there are multiple facilitators at your institutions, it really makes the most sense from my operational style to assign specific tasks to specific people rather than just, oh, whoever logs in can do it or whoever gets there first. We're just going to hold you responsible as an institution to get that done. But if you see CEG course title not found verification, if we click on this, I'm going to see high level data. I'm not going to see each institution, but CN shared this earlier in the spring semester. There are a number of places in the CEG where each institution has courses that do not have a title listed. Those largely are courses that are 196 or 296 courses. Those are your omnibus or your special topics courses. And what usually happens is you did not submit it through ACETs. You did not route it for evaluation, but a student from your college transferred to ASU, NAU, or U of A. They took that course, they sent that transcript to the university, and the university did their own evaluation, and that routes it through ACETs. So when you run this report, you can run the CEG course title not found. You can see the list of all the courses for your institution. We want you to clean those up. You can choose, it's your prerogative, to either remove them and do a course deletion form within ACETs, or you can do a course modification form and add the title. It's your prerogative. Some of them do have elective credit, and so students taking that class will do elective. I will tell you, if you delete them out of the course bank and the universities get those transcripts, we'll keep looping through a cycle of it coming up year over year over year as students transfer in that course. So if we go back to the chat lines, I'm going to show you in the handbook where these directions are. This is one area we haven't yet made a video for. CN is absolutely right. This place here is your home base. If you ever have a question about something, log into the chat lines, look through here, look in the facilitator corner, look in the video library. It should be here. If it's not in this section, the handbook and policy manual is going to be a secondary resource to you. You can type here in the search bar, ACETs. You could also type in, one of the things about the handbook that really is a limitation is you have to know what to search for, right? There's a browse field on the left-hand side, but if you knew course modification, you could type in here, ACET step-by-step guide, course deletion form, course equivalency guide, course equivalency, you could kind of guess, modified course form. This is the menu of everything in the handbook, so you could scroll and scroll and scroll. Sometimes I get confused in here also. It's just how often you use this handbook and policy manual, how familiar you are. A lot of times when we're talking to facilitators, they say, I know I've read it somewhere. I don't know where I read it. I can't find it. That's usually in the handbook and policy manual. So you also see all of our AJEC policies. But if we scroll down here, we see ACET step-by-step guide, okay? We also see, if we type in course title, not found. And here it pops up, CEG course title not found. The navigation is AZTransfer institutional responsibilities, database update, CEG course title not found. We click on this and it takes us through step by step how to complete this for your institution and a screenshot how to do that. So you'll go into the chat lines, you'll click on the link within the CEG, you'll enter the title for each named course missing through the manage CEG data link, and you'll go through until there are no more courses listed with missing titles. Okay, we're not going to go through every single one of these today. Just know that that is an expectation that we have you complete those before July 15th, so that when your faculty are reviewing courses within your CEG, within those links on the dashboard, we have that information available to students. Questions about course title not found? Okay.
Hello, this is
Kelly,
Manassa at
will you-
Dene College.
Yes, Manessa.
Oh, I might have lost it.
Did you have a question, Manessa?
Yes, I have a question. We just at Dene College, and I know I got an email at some point back from CN about this, and we lost a bunch of emails at Dene College. I don't know if you guys heard, but we've lost, I don't know, much email. But we started a Native American Studies minor, and I'm trying to figure out how to get that put into the AZTransfer system. If
Okay.
I don't know if I need to schedule a meeting or something, or if that's something simple.
Okay, so when you say that you've done a minor, have you created new courses within that minor, or did you establish the minor with existing courses?
Both. There are
Okay.
a couple of new courses, but there's also existing courses
Okay.
that are being used.
Okay, so the first thing you would do, and this is a great example, is any courses that are new or that have been modified, we rely on each institution to route those through ACETS. ACETS is the Arizona Course Equivalency Tracking System. So again, if we scroll down here to ACETS within the handbook and policy manual, and Manessa, you had said you had internet difficulties earlier. Are you able to see my screen?
I can't see it, yes.
Okay, so here on the left-hand side, ACETS step-by-step guide, new course evaluation form. This walks you through the process. The screenshots here are from Maricopa Community College District, but this tells you how to submit new courses through ACETS to be routed to ASU, NAU, and U of A to be evaluated for course equivalency. If your courses have been modified, a modified course, like the content has changed, the syllabus has changed, learning outcomes have changed, you'll follow this screen and these steps to submit modified courses. If it's an editorial, and this describes what the editorial criteria is, like the content stayed the same, but maybe you changed the title of the course, maybe you changed the prefix, you'll submit an editorial change form. So you don't have to submit the minor itself to be evaluated, but all of the coursework within the minor. If that coursework doesn't exist already within the CEG, like if you go to look through all of the Native American Studies courses through Dene College and you're noticing some are missing, that means you haven't submitted, Dene College hasn't submitted them through ACETS to be evaluated.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Kelly,
Yes.
I used my other login credentials to run the course title not found report. How about if I just show that quickly so that people can understand what that report is going to run? Kelly could not run this report with her login credentials because AZTransfer is not associated with any courses. So it would have come up with every field would have been null. But if for Yavapai College, that just happens to be what my login credentials are. This is the report. This is the part of the database that we're asking you to go through ASICs and go through the processes that Kelly has described. So I don't know if this visual is helpful, but it can sometimes help bring concepts together of what it looks like on AZTransfer side when the courses don't match, when there's a comma different, when there's titles that are different. Kelly, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, and this is helpful, and Cien's absolutely correct. I don't have the ability to log into each institution, but you can see in the example that she highlighted, engineering 299, this would be a reason that I would suggest that you don't just delete it out of ACETs, but that you give it a title, because it looks like the value for ASU is non-transferable, but both NAU and U of A give it elective credit. And so I would say, unless all three institutions say it's non-transferable, it makes sense for it to be in ACETs. And to be honest, even if it's non-transferable, I think there's value in having it in ACETs so that students can see. But we want to change that course title not available to whatever the title of that course is. Is it called engineering special topics? Is it called internships? Is it called practicum hours? What is it, and how can we better identify that for students?
Hi, Cian. This is Stacy from Pima Community College. Can you show me how you ran that query to get that information?
Absolutely. It's right through here. So let's come back to this section at admin home. We're going to go into this preseason annual task, CEG, course title not found. You're going to come right here to number 1 and you're going to review it. And this is what pops up. Because I am currently signed in as Yavapai College. If I was signed in for Coconino, it would spit out the data for Coconino. If I was signed in, Stacy, you will be signing in with Pima's credentials. And so your credentials will be tied to the course titles not available for Pima Community College. And that's what this will spit out for you.
I have a question, Cian. So the universities don't have that, because I only have 2 links under my preseason annual tasks. I realize why I don't have the AJEC one, but see how if you go back, there are 4. I don't know if it's just me or if the universities don't have this number 4. I don't have 3 or 4, but CEG course title not found. But I know that if I click on NAU in the CEG, there are some titles that are not available. So will we be getting that link, or I can just query it?
That's interesting. I hadn't considered that. I mean, we had built it from the view of the community colleges, but I think, let me play around with it. But I think within ACETs, if you look and search in ACETs by course title not found as your course title, it should pop up and you should have the ability to modify it yourself. Within yours though, yours don't get routed anywhere, right? Like the university courses don't get routed amongst themselves. So you should just be able to modify the course yourself.
Well, you mean if I do a CEG query for no course title available, because I don't think I'd find it in ACETs, but
yeah, you're right. The data is stored actually within
right.
ACETs, but yes, you'd run it through the CEG.
Okay.
Okay. So again, those are things that we have job aids and resources through. If your brain is starting to feel a little bit full right now, like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of different things. I'm sitting here feverishly taking notes. All of this is identified and listed within your chat lines. Your chat lines really can be used like a to-do list or a checklist that you go through each task and you work through each of those by the dates identified. Cian's done a really great job of identifying all of the knowledge and skills base that you need to have to walk yourself through it. Whether it's in the handbook and policy manual or whether it's in the video library, you should have a resource to walk you through each task. The other item that we wanted to make sure that you did is adding geology as an option within the AJEC-S. Earlier this year, I think it was at our February steering committee meeting, there was a proposed amendment to our AJEC policies to include geology as an option within the AJEC-S, in addition to biology, chemistry, and physics. And I'm going to show you on the screen where we could view that policy, how we can search that policy, and where we'd find that information. So here, I bookmark everything in my browser, so I have it here, so I don't always have to navigate it, but I can just pull up the handbook and policy manual. I'm going to scroll up to the AJEC policies. I'm going to see composition of the AJEC. AJEC-S requirements. We can see this policy originated in 2006. It was revised in 2019, revised again in 2019, revised again in 2019. We had a really exciting year in 2019 related to this policy, but you see it was finally revised most recently on February 4th, 2021. And what it talks about here, if we scroll down, is section E, physical and biological sciences, 8 credits of university chemistry, or 8 credits of university physics, or 8 credits of university biology, or 8 credits of geology. It's not called university geology, so that's why it doesn't have that descriptor there. But what that means for each of you and each of your institutions is you need to go through the AJEC data and ensure that geology is an option when your students are selecting their courses. So I'm going to show you from the student view what that looks like. So if a student were to come to our website and look up majors and degrees, there are a couple different ways they'd see it, but I like the majors and degrees the best. But if a student were to select, let's say Mojave Community College, and they were to pick a major for which the AJEC S is the foundation, like biology, this would tell a student at Mojave, okay, these are the biology major guides for 2021, 22. It tells them a little bit about biology. It tells them your associate degree here is your foundation. You should be doing the AJEC as a foundation, then you should be doing these additional courses. If we click on the AJEC S course list, it tells them, okay, here's some English classes you can choose from. If you remember, CN mentioned earlier, we want this language to have what were we calling it, CN, a directive?
Yes, the directions, because each institution has different requirements. And so this is where you tell students what your institution's requirements are per category.
Oh, and it looks like my website just did something silly. So here at Mojave, this tells them for English, complete both courses, English 101 and English 102. Those are Mojave's titles, prefixes and numbers for those courses. It tells them for mathematics, the same thing. They need to take geometry and Calc 1, arts and humanities, social behavioral sciences. When we get down to the physical and biological sciences and we expand that, what we would hope to see is a choice between physics, chemistry, biology, and geology. And we see that written here. So Mitzi and or Julie, thanks for taking care of that and making sure that that's included here. Complete one of these sequences, biology 181 and biology 182, or Chem 151 and Chem 152, or geology 101 and geology 102, or physics 115 and physics 116. So because geology is included as an option within the AJEC S, you as an institutional facilitator follow the directions. CN had sent them out. We also have them if we come, let me go back. I'm gonna have to log back in, but we also have it within the video library, how to update that and include that. So if you come to the video library, it takes just a second. Okay, it takes maybe just a minute. Oh, that is not what it's supposed to look like. That's really interesting. When I looked at this before, it was tiled just the way CN that you did it, but it looks like there's something interesting. Sometimes this happens with websites and live training resources and materials. But CN, it was this one here, right? How to update AJEC data. This video will take you through how to update your AJEC data. And specifically the requirement of adding geology as an option within your AJEC S. Geology should not be added as an option for the AJEC B or for the AJEC A, but specifically for the AJEC S. Michael, I see you have a question.
Yeah, my question, thanks Kelly and CN. My question goes back to the course title not found information.
Of course.
Where you had said something about that sometimes courses are updated on the CEG from the universities without going through ACETs. And from a community college perspective, the reason it wouldn't go through ACETs is because the curriculum changes each time. If it's a special topics, an internship, or a temporary course. So you had recommended still sending it through ACETs, but the problem we'll have is that the universities will be assessing a curriculum that might be completely different when a student transfers that course in elsewhere. Do you have recommendations on how to accommodate for that, given the practical matter of it going to be repeatedly added to the CEG if I delete it?
Yes. So what I would recommend, and that's a great question and one that has a lot of relevance to this group. What I would recommend doing is within ACETs, when you add that or when you modify that, that you put specific catalog term limitations to it for the applicability for a specific catalog year. So if from 2015 to 2018, it had one set of course content, but then 2019, 2020, it had a different set of content, I would put those in as 2 different years or 2 different catalog years.
Okay,
For the effective terms.
got it. And then for, as I go through the CEG and clean up temporary courses or changing curriculum courses from the past, that would be a deletion if they're not offered yet, most likely.
Correct. What I would do actually, rather than delete them, I would modify the effective term for them. So it might take a little research or cleanup on your end to go back to see when it changed or predate it to the most current term. Like if you just started a new set of criteria for, 2020, 2021, I would start the new course with that effective date, and I would retroactively end date the other one for the term in which, so that those 2 butted up against each other.
Okay.
So some of what you'll see in ours, it defaults to an end term of like 12/31/9999. That's in perpetuity. That's unless something otherwise is included. That will just do an ad infinitum effective date. That might not always be true. And so if those things have ended, we want to make sure not to delete courses. If they truly were archived in a previous academic year, you could just end date them.
Okay. Thank you.
Kelly, I just wanted to clarify one thing. So like Rebecca always told us in the past that CEG titles or titles in the CEG are best updated when the institutions send AZTransfer their course bank, and that's how they can do a mass change. Usually when we'll update the titles in our system from ACETs, but they don't populate the CEG that way. So we always have to send our course bank to AZTransfer to get a mass population of our CEG titles. And then you can do some manually too.
For the universities.
For the community colleges.
I can double check that with Rebecca.
Yeah.
If Rebecca had shared that with you guys, these are directions that we've populated in our handbook with Rebecca's guidance. I can check to see if that's changed.
Right.
But we haven't put a lot of that course bank sending in our schedule anymore because we're relying on people to submit them within ACETs. So if you'll notice, like one of the steps in the chat lines no longer is to send your course bank data, but I can confirm that and double check it.
No, I just want to clarify, because sometimes we get forms from the community colleges, to update their title because they want it to change in the CEG, which we do. We all 3 update the titles in our systems, but it doesn't always change that in the CEG. Like the titles, Rebecca told us, were always updated by course bank uploads and then typing it in manually.
Right. And what I'm trying to explain is earlier this spring when we met with Rebecca, we decided to remove the course bank update requirement from institutions. So I'll have to clarify with Rebecca how that process would be done in a batch.
Okay. So I didn't know that. So as far as you removed it totally, so we're no longer sending our course bank?
Well, that's what we're going over. Like in the chat lines, it's no longer an instruction. It's no longer an institutional responsibility to send your course bank. Many institutions weren't sending their course bank on a regular basis. So that's why we're putting the onus on each of them to build that within ACETs and submit new courses, course modifications in that way.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so it's about 11:30. That takes us through the meat of most of today's agenda. I don't know if we have other larger questions. I'd like to propose something to each of you in the next 30 minutes. Would you like to start 1 or 2 of the agenda items from tomorrow so that we can be done earlier tomorrow? Or would you like to end early today after we do some Q&A?
Kelly, let me interrupt you for a second because I just saw in the chat that Patty has got a question on something else, one of our processes. So
okay,
before we move on, maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so this is Patty at Yavapai, and I was I kind of thought what Alicia did, so that you don't just change a course title. I hate to keep harping on this, but I thought you could do it manually through that CEG course bank update. That you can't just submit it through ACETS and have it change. And that was kind of I did it wrong literally for years. So just think about this, everybody. In 10 years, you may just have it like a eureka moment like I did this past summer of, oh, if I just did it in the CEG update screen, that's still in there, isn't it?
Mhm.
Okay, that's where you maintain things like that.
And maybe I'm misstating. That is what
Okay.
the directions in the handbook say. So
Okay.
if we go back to the handbook and policy manual.
Sorry, I didn't mean to keep harping on this, but.
No, I mean, but if we go here, so again, if we search course title not found, we may be talking about two separate but related things.
Okay.
Course title not found, when it walks.
Ellie, share your screen. Do you
Oh,
want to share your
sorry.
screen?
Yes, I do. Thank you. When we go to the handbook and policy manual, when I search course title not found, it says to view the list of courses from your college, go through the same process that we showed earlier. Enter the title name for each course title through the managed CEG data link in the chat lines. So it routes it through ACETS, but you do it through the chat lines. After all courses have been entered, create a new list for your institution. So that might be where I'm confusing you guys. It does not do it you don't log into ACETS to do it. What I was talking with Manasseh is for new courses or to modify courses within there when you have a title change, but not the course title not found piece. That's done in the managed CEG data link within the chat lines.
Got it. Thank you.
We hope, Sienna and I hope, all of AZTransfer hopes that the changes that we've made this year make it easier for you. We hope we've designed it in a way that's intuitive. The change might be a little hard to navigate because if you're anything like me, I'll go into a website and I'll be like, I know it's somewhere in the upper right-hand screen, or I know I had to scroll down and it was listed somewhere in the bottom. And if your memory is tied to that orientation on the website, it might take you a few weeks or months to get used to the new organization. But if you think in terms of a new person, it should be more intuitive. It should be a direction and an organization and a structure that walks you through how you would process the information. And if we find it's not working, if we find that everyone is saying this really doesn't work, I don't like this at all, we can talk about modifying it or doing it in a different way, but we're hopeful that this will work for you. Other questions in the time we have left? Okay, and then just a real quick read. What we're planning on starting with tomorrow is improvements to ATF meetings and how you find the structure and organization of the ATF meeting. If you would like to end early right now and start your lunch or whatever you have planned for later this afternoon now, do a thumbs up in the reactions. In the bottom of your screen, you have a smiley face and you can click thumbs up. If you would like to go on with the first agenda item for tomorrow, go ahead and do the clapping reaction. Okay. It's looking like most people, the majority, it's really close, but it's looking like the majority would like to end now and give yourself a brain break. If you have second or third graders in school, my kids get brain breaks at school all the time. You have to stand up and do like some jumping jacks to Aretha Franklin or something like that. So if you need a brain break because your brain is full and you'd like to be excused, I think that's what the majority of the group wants to do today. If you are anxious to finish up, what I would encourage you to do is to familiarize yourself with the video library contents and the Facilitator Corner training videos. We are not going to go over tomorrow a mock ATF meeting. We are not going to go over every detail of how to run an ATF meeting because all of those were recorded last year. And so from the website where CN had shown, there was Facilitator Training Retreat days 1 and 2. There were historical ATF meetings. If you want to spend some time today to go through those, tomorrow what we will pick up with is some of the changes to the ATF meeting, to the ATF agenda. We're going to go through meeting tips. You're going to hear from some of our seasoned ATF facilitators about blunders in the meetings, embarrassing moments, what they wish they would have done differently. We're going to go again, reiterating the ATF season task review, really looking at things as a meeting facilitator tomorrow. Okay, Elena has a great question. Do you have the agendas available for us to review? Yes, let me share my screen and I'll show you where you can find those. So if you want to be super prepared for tomorrow, if you are in the chat line and you go to the ATF virtual binder, last year we designed this binder for you rather than giving you a physical one. If you select for yourself, I'm going to pick Eastern Arizona College. This should match up for yourself and the meetings that you've been assigned and agreed to do. I don't know. Sometimes when the website takes forever, you don't know if it's your own internet connection or just our really amazing website. And then you get this great error message. And that's awesome. So, you know, life happens sometimes. Let's try it again and see if we get a different one. This may happen to you during a facilitator's meeting also. You know, it's okay to be embarrassed, not be embarrassed. Just don't get flustered. Just try it again. And if it doesn't work, sometimes you have to think on your toes. Great, that's awesome. Cian, let's make a note and double check that with Erin and Rebecca later. Let's try another college, Coconino. Check the chat while we're loading. Okay, somebody's saying they haven't been able to get onto the website for a while. That's interesting. Cian, we've checked this recently in our work with Erin, and so I'm not quite sure why it's not showing. I even checked it as recently as last night. I don't know if something else is happening, but that's not super awesome. We have been revamping a lot of things on our website, and we have been going through a server migration, but if there are extended periods of time that you're not able to access our website, please send us a note and let us know, or send us a screenshot of what you're getting. This is interesting. Well, maybe I'll show it tomorrow, but it should be, let's try one other place. The other place that it might be, actually what I'll do is I'll email it out to the group. I'll email the agendas out to the group because I don't think we've even uploaded them here. If you come to the main dashboard page, the facilitator group that Cian was talking about earlier, we typically link that here within the resources page. But we haven't uploaded it yet because we just finalized it, but I will email that out to you guys. I'll show it here because I have it, and then I'll email it to each of you. But the biggest change that we have in the ATF meeting, and one that we hope you're really excited about, is you no longer have to do the statewide update. I have recorded myself doing the statewide update presentation for 20 minutes. It's actually like 19 minutes and a few seconds. But you'll see anywhere here where it says facilitator, that is your responsibility to cover that content. So you'll see at the beginning, welcome and introduction is the chair, review of the meeting minutes is the chair. It will be your responsibility to share the link for the statewide update. That video is also included in the virtual handbook. We'll make sure that that's available to you. Facilitator will do the college and university course prefixes. The CEG review is a facilitator task. The common course matrices is a facilitator task. And the exams for credit review is a facilitator task, and meeting wrap up is a facilitator task. There are no new facilitator tasks this year. We've reduced your responsibilities by recording the statewide update. We got a lot of feedback that people felt like they couldn't answer those questions, or they felt uncomfortable sharing that data. So I've recorded myself doing that. And then very lastly, the ATF chair will do any curricular updates and any discussion. I probably should add this here, ATF chair. If there are meeting specific or ATF specific discussion items brought forth by the chair or by the group, that's included there as well. I will email this out to the group as soon as we're done here so that you can have that. Again, we're not going to go over that in a lot of detail tomorrow because last year we recorded step by step. I did a mock ATF and went through how to do all of those common course matrices, how to prepare, how to examine, how to review those common course matrices. And those are linked within the facilitator video library and within the facilitator training videos. Other questions? Oh, Elena's saying the agenda for today and tomorrow's meeting. Yes, I can also share those and share that as well. So here's, I'm not sharing my screen. Sorry about that. I will send both of these out. Here's today's agenda. We went through all of these tasks. These are as an institutional facilitator. And then tomorrow, improvements to the ATF meeting tips, ATF meeting expectations. News from the field is hearing from some of our seasoned facilitators, what they wish they would have known. ATF season task review, Q&A, and following up with our doorway exercise from today. All right, so I really would encourage you, if you have questions or this training in its entirety is not inclusive of every single task and every single expectation. We have hit the high notes and we have hit the changes, but we are counting on you to access that video resource library and the facilitator tools and trainings so that you can see. We didn't want to spend a lot of time when we meet in person. Usually we are spending a half day on the first day and then about 3/4 of a day the second day going over everything. But for those facilitators who have done these things a number of times, we didn't want to spend a lot of time going through each matrix review, each prefix update. And so we're counting on you to access those asynchronous trainings to make sure that you're prepared for the ATF season. In addition to tomorrow, we will be checking back with you in August. We haven't decided exactly how we're going to do that, but probably in a one-on-one or a one-on-3 group style to just confirm that you were prepared for success for the ATF cycle. And if you have any other questions. All right, I'm going to end today's recording. We will make this available and eventually post this online as well. We will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m.
I thank you.